G'day Sunshines, welcome to Tarot with Tracey, and today we're taking a deep dive into sadness. So listen in, pick a card, pick a word, or the whole story, whatever it is that works for you to bring you closer to what is a beautiful way of living for you. So the question of sadness, today I wanted to really dig deep into that because it's something that rocks up for me relatively frequently. There's that sense of teariness and I think, oh, where's that come from? Or why am I feeling sad now? What is it that's triggered me this time? And I think, more often than not, the source of our sadness is when we feel this disconnect between ourselves and somebody else. So there's a breakdown in relationship, and it can be even just a breakdown in connection with ourselves when we feel like we've let ourselves down, or where we feel like we're not flourishing, or where we feel like someone else has let us down. When we've wanted to feel the blessing of love and connection, but instead there's a not reaching out, or we've reached out and someone's rejected us, or we're afraid to reach out because someone might reject us. And sometimes that's within our own selves or within our work, and sometimes it's within our relationships. So this happens, this breakdown in love, in connectedness, in relationship, and then we feel the sadness. Then the tears begin to roll on the inside, if not on the outside. So what happens before that breakdown in relationship is this Ace of Wands energy. So this is understanding. It's like an insight. Sometimes it's a flash. It's like boom, and now I understand that all is not well. And that's a gift. Normally we would think that these aces bring these most beautiful energies, like they're the yes, they're the yes cards. They're when something beautiful and new rocks up. But look at the background behind all that ace energy. Yes, the hand is white and glorious. And also there is a lot of grey energy in there as well. So as that wand arrives with green leaves, she's also beginning to show us, to give us the words and the framework and the understanding that our relationship is not good, or that something within us is not good, or that something in the world is just not working. And that's the insight. So when we have this flash of intuitive, deep wisdom that something feels broken, then we have the sadness. So if that's the backstory, then what is it that stops us handling our sadness? What is it that slows us down as we move through the valley of tears? Because that's our objective. We can't block it, but we can certainly move through it. And that's the question. And the thing that holds us up is this Page of Cups energy. That's the fear factor. That's the challenge. And that is a question of listening to the emotion. So when the emotion has spoken, when those tears feel that they're there, when that sadness, that deflatedness, when it rocks up in us, our job has to be to listen, to get in close to that sadness and go, okay, what are you saying to me? What is it that's broken for me right now? What is it that I'm seeing and sensing and feeling in the world? It might not even be anything to do with you. It might be two other people who are struggling with their connections, and you go, oh, I see that now. I realize now they're struggling. And then you've got this, ooh, like, how do I deal with the sadness on their behalf? And there is so much to be sad about in the world right now, as well as so much to be glad about. But we are increasingly exposed to the griefs and the sorrows and the breakdowns that other people are experiencing. So when we do that, getting in close and listening to that fish, listening to the emotion, naming it, saying, hello, darkness, my old friend. I see you again. I name you, I own you, and I will walk through this valley in order to get out the other side. So what does Spirit say that she will help us with if we need to actually get in there and listen? And we're a bit scared to, because to be honest, to actually say this is sadness can be quite exhausting, can be quite overwhelming. So it's no wonder we're a little bit like, let's just pretend it's not there, sweep it under the rug, keep going, have another piece of cake, cup of coffee, on we go, da da. But in fact, slow down for a moment, hand on your hip, feet on the sand, waves in the background. Hello, fish. What are you telling me? Sometimes people say this fish is an ancestor trying to speak to you, and our ancestors' voices are often there to help us to make sense of the world. And in fact, that's what Spirit says that she's going to do to help us here. Spirit says, let me take the world off your shoulders for a moment. I was in a cave once in the Australian desert, and I had this really strong sense of grief. I just started bawling. I put my head down on the rock and I wept and I wept and I wept, and I just said to the cave, to the space, to the spirits there, it's too much. The suffering in the world is too much for me to bear. And what I heard very clearly was, you don't have to bear it. You could never bear the suffering of the world. Allow it to pass through you, down like a lightning rod, earth it to the ground. And so this is why I'm sensing here that Spirit has said, you don't have to be the world, not to you, not to anyone else. Take that pressure off yourself and allow the sadness to move right on through you into the bigger arms of nature, of the future and the past, and all the timelines all muddled into one. Allow that sadness, the grief, the tears, sometimes the despair and the woe, allow it to pass through you, because do you see that big, beautiful victory circle there? There is a bigger circle to hold this grief than just you. There is a huge sense, look at all those 4 creatures out around that. All those creatures are there to help you to hold this grief. So turn it on its head, take that pressure off yourself, and allow the bigger picture of all that is to help you as you hold and allow it to pass through. So there's a difference between holding on to the sadness and holding space for the sadness. Do you see in that big, beautiful circle, that victory, that woman there, she has space around her. She is holding that space with the support of those creatures as well, and all the different elements of the world to help us hold space for the full emotions of sadness as they pass through us. So our next right action then, ironically, is actually to know that everything that we need is within us. So for all that the world is in reverse, and Spirit says, let me take that pressure from you, we can also know that as the sadness is there, as we feel the tears, we have the strength to manage it. If that big lion was the wolf of tears, if it was the wild animal that was going to take us down with sadness, in fact, within us is the capacity, infinite capacity, to lay our hand upon the brow of the tears, to put our hand under the chin of the tears, and for those tears to feel, okay, I'm held, I'm soothed, I don't need to escalate here, I can just be as I am, and it will pass. And so that beautiful, calming stability that's there, it's not about outrunning the tears, it's not about forcing them. She's not shoving that lion around. She's gently holding his head and his chin so that he can feel safe in her hands. And this is the capacity that we have as the tears rise within us, as we feel the overwhelm of breakdown in our relationships, or breakdown in the world around us, or the suffering that people are going through. We can rest in our own hands. We can hold ourselves gently. We have that capacity, and then the emotions can flow through, or perhaps blow through too. And in fact, the outcome, if we can manage that, is clarity, which is nice, because Ace of Swords is the incoming of a new idea. So when we are feeling emotional, when those emotions are flooding us and we're feeling sad, and the tears are there, we cannot think straight. It's a biological impossibility. Our frontal cortex goes offline in our brain as we get hijacked at the back by the emotional centers. So we can't think straight. But as we take the pressure off ourselves and allow the world to hold us, she was upside down, as we hold ourselves gently, lovingly, kindly, as we listen in to the emotions and say, I hear you, this is sad, yes. Then once we have done those steps, the Ace of Swords, we can have an idea of something different. Perhaps the words to say to someone who is grieving will come through. Perhaps an action will materialize. You'll think, do you know what? I can't stand by any longer. And in fact, this is what I'm going to do. And in taking that action, you begin to make a change, either in your own life or in the suffering that's around us. So this Ace of Swords is incoming of fresh, vital energy that's active and decisive and you wouldn't be able to think it through. You wouldn't be able to go, let me think, what shall I do about this? It doesn't happen like that. You go, let me be calm, and then boom, the light bulb, the idea comes, and you go, this is what I need to say to that person or to myself. And in fact, often as you hit that light moment, as that light bulb rushes in with all its beautiful brightness, there's a death moment. There's a moment where what you used to think is finished. The tears that were indicating something that was no longer working or no longer satisfying or no longer okay, that moment, that not okayness, it's finished. And on the very same breath of finished is the beginning of something new. And that's what that sword brings in with it, that Ace of Swords, that beautiful, it's done and it's beginning again. So this is a beautiful cycle. I'm very grateful to the tarot for bringing all of these different elements to us today, because there is a beautiful cycle that when we do understand that something's broken, it hurts and there is a loss of connection. And yet if we listen into the emotions that we're overwhelmed by, and we go, okay, I see you, I'm not going to push you under the rug, I see you, and we allow the world to hold us and hold with us, not just that we have to hold it, then we can have the strength that we actually can hold it. We actually have it within us to be calm in the face of the emotions. And as we do that, bing, the light bulb moment of what you need to do and the ending of that suffering so something new can come through. Oh, I give thanks to the tarot for these beautiful wisdoms, and I pray that something in here has landed for you today as you and I go through this journey of living with all the beauty and the suffering side by side in this magical thing called life. Bright blessings.